What's going on, all you Alolan Sandslashes? Today for this video, I'm going to be going over my regional team. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I asked on Twitter, I'm sure a lot of you saw it, and I asked quite a few other people as well, what they wanted to see on my channel for some of my first videos. And surprisingly, a lot of you said that you wanted to see my regional team have some more info about it or see me take it on Battle Spot. I plan on doing both, but in this video, I'm just going to go over a quick rundown of how I came up with the team, kind of the process that I went through, and then maybe a little bit about using it. So let's get started. It won't take too long. It honestly was a simple process. Um, when I first started the team, what I did was I took a team that had relatively good success on the ladder, um, and I just decided I was going to use that and battle with it for a little bit and see what needed to be updated, because the team that I first used was Golduck, Pelipper, Tapu Bulu, Porygon 2, and then two other Pokemon. I don't remember exactly what they were. But the team was, if you can't tell, was really outdated. It had Tapu Bulu on it, so this was back when Tapu Bulu was still getting used more than Finny, like at the very beginning of the format. So even at the time that I was using it, it was already pretty outdated. But what I did is I did about an 80 game test with that team that I had used that had good success on the ladder, and I wrote down what needed to be changed and like the things that I was losing to, and just what I should substitute in. And at the same time, I was a Patreon of Alex Ogloza. So what I would also do is I would take the notes that I had from those 80 games, and I would talk with Alex about the team, and he would give me suggestions on what could be substituted to help the team be more current, and just kind of be better for my personal play style, because I play a very offensive play style. And so after that first 80 game test that I did with the team, I decided that I should obviously switch Bulu. And so what I did was I switched Bulu for Kartana. And then once I made that switch, I played another 80 game test, doing the same thing, writing down what I was losing to, what I needed to improve on, and so on and so forth. And then I would watch my replays, talk with some friends and good players, and get their suggestions about what could be changed. So after that 80 game test, I switched Porygon 2 for Snorlax. Um, and if you're wondering why I'm not going over the Pokemon right now, it's because I'm going to tell you kind of how I got them on the team, and then later on I'll go back and I'll tell you about the spreads and why I chose what I did. So after that second 80 game test, though, I chose Snorlax over Porygon 2. So I'm about 160, 200 games into this team, and I've only changed two Pokemon, um, and I'm going to do another 80 game test with just that change. So if you haven't noticed, that's the pattern that I do when I build teams, is take a team that had good success, play 80, 50, 80 games with it, writing down what I was losing to, what I'm not playing well with, and then using my, oh, hello, and then using my friends and other players to help me build it and make it better. So once again, another 80 game test following the same pattern, and I decided to put Arcanine on the team, in place of whatever was there, and then following another 80 game test, Tapu Lele. And so after about 4 or 5 of 8 of those 80 game tests that I do, I had the 6 Pokemon you see here. So now after that, I started diving into spreads. So obviously Pelipper and Golduck, they haven't really changed much. They've been the same spread the entire time. They never changed. The only thing that is different about my Golduck than maybe some other Golducks that you'll see is, instead of Scald, I used Encore. Because the way that I used Golduck was basically a suicide lead. He was out there to use a Z move, get a one shot, and then hopefully, in most cases, I'd want him to go down. But in the off chance that I was up against something like a Drifblim Lele or a Mandibuzz Finny, I would have Encore there to Encore their Tailwind or their Sunny Day if it was a Drifblim, and lock them into that move, making it a useless slot and giving me the opportunity to get the momentum back in my favor. And that came in handy a lot, especially in testing. And because it was a suicide lead, I wasn't worried about if he was hitting or missing his Hydro Pumps. He was just kind of there to get the one-hit KO, go down, and let something else come in on the Tailwind that I would set up with Pelipper. So that's how I use my Golduck. That's why I know like T-Man made his a little more bulky to survive more things. Mine was just pure offense. Get out there, blow something up, go down, and if you don't go down, then start hitting things with Hydro Pumps and Ice Beams and be annoying with Encore. Pelipper, Scald, Tailwind, Hurricane, and Wide Guard. So a lot of people run Protect on their Pelipper. I opted for Wide Guard because it just really, really helped out with my team, blocking Rock Slides, Earthquakes, Dazzling Gleams, Discharges, things like that that could be a nuisance. And even it came in handy like in Trick Room situations when I'm up against a Torkoal, I can Wide Guard on its Eruption and either stall out Trick Room that way or use it as an opportunity to get some damage out. So I really liked Wide Guard. You can use Protect there. It all depends on your play style. But Wide Guard was perfect for me. And the spread's just pretty simple. Focus Sash, your standard Pelipper. The first substitute of the team, Kartana. So this Kartana, I was at a crossroad because I wasn't sure what item to give it because I'd already given the Focus Sash to Pelipper. So since I'd already given the Focus Sash away, I decided I would just make this Kartana a Pokemon that could really take advantage of Tailwind turns. And so I didn't want Choice Scarf and I didn't want Choice Band because it kind of just locked me into a move, and if they had a switch in and I was already locked in, then I couldn't change it, and it just made it too hard. And I didn't want, and with how frail Kartana is, I didn't want to just kind of be locked into a move. I wanted to be able to have flexibility with it. And so I also didn't want Scope Lens because I didn't like the 50-50 crit chance with Leaf Blade. More often than not, for some reason, I get the bad side of the 50-50 and I won't get the critical hit. And so it just didn't fit well for me. So in the end, I ended up going for Life Orb, and that was definitely the best choice because, for example, with Life Orb Leaf Blade, one-hit KOs pretty much every Finny, and it one-hit KOs pretty much every Koko, just with Leaf Blade. And so it was huge for me to know that I can take those Pokemon out with just one hit. And it was a big deal for me. It also lets me take care of Gigalith, which was really big at the time. Sacred Sword does around 60% to an Arcanine when I'm not intimidated, and around 40% when I am intimidated. So it was still hitting hard even though I was intimidated. And so I really liked that, how Life Orb just gives it that boost. And especially after I get a KO and I'm +1, it's just destroying everything. And so Life Orb, definitely my best move choice for this team dynamic and taking control of Tailwind. Snorlax, I substituted in for Porygon 2 because I wanted something that could take care of Trick Room turns. I wasn't very good at substituting not substituting, but taking a turn to reverse Trick Room with my own Porygon 2. I just wasn't very good at that timing. I wasn't very good at making the right positioning so that I could do that, or predicting the Trick Room. And even when Porygon 2 was on the field, like it wasn't threatening. People weren't scared of it. It wasn't going to do anything. And so I wanted something that I could use as a little more offensive and basically punish the opponent for setting up Trick Room. So that's why I went with this setup of Snorlax. I didn't want Belly Drum because after one curse, Snorlax was enough to pretty much close out most games by itself, just after one curse. And I really liked that. And I was a lot better at setting up a curse than I was at reversing Trick Rooms with my Porygon 2. And it just kind of puts a little more pressure on the field. A lot of people were most surprised that I was using Protect instead of Recycle. And that just goes back to the role of my Snorlax. It was there to punish Trick Room, not to sit on the field and kind of stall out a game or to belly drum and then get back up. It was just there to hit hard, set up a curse, hit hard, and just basically be a nuisance and soften things up for the rest of my team to come out. It is also good for protecting on like the double ins that people always do into Snorlax and for the Z moves that people always do into Snorlax. That happened actually several times in the tournament where I protected on a double or a Z move, and it ended up helping me win the game because I basically got a free attack off. So Snorlax, it's been the same spread as well. That didn't change ever since I put it on the team, and this has been the same ever since I put it on the team. So it was a really solid pick. And then the next substitute for the team was Arcanine. So at the beginning, this Arcanine was fully supportive. It was, Helping Hand, RAR, that sort of move spread, with like the 50% berry and like tons of HP, tons of defense, tons of special defense. But it just like, I never felt comfortable using Arcanine that way. It was so lackluster on my team. It just never really actually helped because people would know that it was supportive, so they weren't really afraid of it. So literally about like 2-3 days before the tournament, I just decided, it's not working. This is just not the right choice. I need to switch this Arcanine up, and so I just went with the fully offensive spread, going with the hyper offense team, and I just put on, Wild Charge in close combat. And those moves actually being very helpful because now that it was choice banned, I was able to one-shot pretty much every Celesteela. Huge damage to Finny with Wild Charge. Huge damage to Lele with Flare Blitz. Close combat chunks Porygon 2. And in some cases, I was almost able to one-shot Snorlax. And so just this one switch of an item and just a little switch around to the EVs made the team so much better. A lot of people questioned why I would have a fire type on the team, and it just provided so much help just by itself being offensive that way. It also could take advantage of Trick Room turns. Gave me a good switch in for fire type moves if my Kartana was out. Intimidate was huge for my Snorlax being able to survive more moves, and Intimidate was huge for my Tapu Lele, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But with this spread, probably the best spread ever for any Arcanine that I've used so far. Nothing really significant, just enough HP to survive an Earthquake after Intimidate, and I think to survive a Thunderbolt in Electric Terrain from Coco. And then I had 176 EVs because a lot of people are running 136 speed on Gyarados. So I did 137 just to outspeed it. And I should probably go a little bit faster, but it's just, I like the spread that it is so far, and I really haven't had too much of a problem with Gyarados. So the last addition to the team was Tapu Lele, and Tapu Lele I first added for the Psychic Terrain because people would keep faking out my Golduck or faking out my Kartana, whichever one I led. And it just really had a problem. I really struggled in 2016 because of so much fake out, and I just was terrible at stopping it. And so Tapu Lele was there to stop the fake out and the prankster moves, and it just really helped me deal with those nuisance. But at first it was just really defensive. I think it was a Z move too, but it just didn't fit very well. And so later on, after some more tests, I ended up doing some research on what other people were using at the time, and I decided on choice specs. And these three moves are pretty standard, and this was for Celesteela, Thunderbolt. I would honestly switch that to something different. I think I only used it a couple times, and if you play right, then the rest of the team can pretty much take care of Celesteela. So, I mean, that could be something different. It was just a filler move. But this spread was super significant to the team. So with the HP and defense investment and with an Intimidate from Arcanine, this Lele could survive Heavy Slam from Adamant Celesteela, Smart Strike from Adamant Kartana. It's even survived Tectonic Rage from Garchomp. And so with the Intimidate, this thing just like stays around forever and just hits super hard. It also takes advantage of Tailwind being specs and in terrain, and with such a heavy amount of EVs and special attack, it would one hit KO like 90% of the things that I'd ran into that weren't like a steel type or like Assault Vest. It just hammers the team, and so that's kind of a little bit about each Pokemon. And what their role was on the team, how the process, how I got them on there, how many games I played to get these Pokemon on there. Thousands of games, honestly. If you do want to play the team, I know it's a little outdated, but if you want to play it and kind of update it to your style, the only suggestions I would give would be know when to bring rain and when not to bring rain. Obviously, if it's slower weather on the opposing team or a prankster Pokemon that you're pretty sure has sunny day, you probably want to take a different route than rain. And you can lead several of these. So you can do like Arcanine Kartana, Arcanine Tapu Lele, Arcanine Snorlax, Tapu Lele Kartana, Tapu Lele Snorlax, Kartana Snorlax. Like these four are so versatile in their lead combinations that there's not really a matchup that I'm afraid to face, because I know that I have a combination because I flowcharted everything that I could think of with these Pokemon for lead combinations. So experiment with these four if you can't lead these two. That would be a huge suggestion I would give. Also, always take advantage of Tailwind and be really smart with your switch-ins when you're going up against Trick Room. There is a big learning curve to this team because it is hyper offense, so you need to make sure that you're making the right moves. But if you get used to it and you know the team really well, and you're good at hyper offense, then this team is really solid. It just needs a few tweaks to be updated for the current meta, and it would still be a very solid pick. So, but that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for watching. This is my regional team, and that's the process that I went through. So if you're curious about building teams and how I do it, then I do a ton of tests, 80 games, start with something I like. After every game, I make little changes or switch out a Pokemon, and then do another test, and so on and so forth. Never make huge changes like all the time when you're building teams. Just play it, get used to it, decide what you need to get better at, and then adjust to it. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you again later when I put my team on Battle Spot for you guys. So hopefully you're looking forward to that. But until then, I'll see you next time.